So today I'm going to present you the results of my master thesis, and the topic is the detection of the initiation of debris flows by analyzing the seismic signal that is produced by the runoff. Okay, so detection of the initiation could have important applications for warning systems, since compared to the classical warning systems that generally are installed above the infrastructures at risk, the detection of the initiation would allow to increase the lead time to take emergency measures. Moreover, the initiation processes are still poorly understood due to the complexity that characterize the initiation areas. The aims of our study are to investigate whether it is possible to discriminate between the seismic signals produced by intense channel processes and by other seismic sources, and if it is possible to recognize different processes that occur in a steep channel of an alpine catchment based only on the seismic information. Our study area is the Gadria catchment. It is located in the Central Eastern Alps. It is a quite small catchment with an area of about 6 square kilometers. And the Gadria River is 3 kilometers long, and it drains into the Adige River on the Venosta Valley floor. A peculiarity is the fact that the fans is bigger than the catchment itself, and it is one of the biggest fans in all the Alps. The catchment is characterized by metamorphic rocks, which are fractured and prone to erosion. Here we record from 1 to 2 debris flows per year, and before the construction of the retention basin, the village of Lasa that lies on the fan was damaged several times in the past by debris flows. The Gadria monitoring system is composed of 2 monitoring stations, a lower station that was installed more than 10 years ago at the outlet of the catchment, and another station which is installed above at about 2,200 meters of altitude in a steep channel. The goals of the lower station is to study the processes of erosion and of deposition and the dynamics of debris flows, while the upper monitoring station was installed to study the triggering conditions and the initiation processes. All the data we analyzed for this study comes from the upper monitoring station. So moving on to the methods, our datasets include the seismic recordings that were acquired with one geophone, a Raspberry Shake. Then we have video images that the video camera was set to start recording when a specific rainfall threshold was exceeded, and then the recording mode lasts for 2 hours. And then we analyzed the rainfall data that were acquired with a classical deep in bucket rain gauge. The data were acquired during the summer seasons from 2018 to 2022. And our instruments are installed only during the summer seasons to avoid possible damages due to avalanches or other source during the rest of the year. So first of all, we analyzed the seismic signal, we applied the filtering, and we calculated the envelope and the mean frequency. Then we watched the videos to associate the seismic source to the recorded seismic signal. And then we extract the peak amplitude and the duration of the signals produced by each identified source. So we use a table that I reported here. So I extract the duration of the signal, the peak amplitude, the source, and we also took some notes on the distance between the source and our sensor, our geophone. In total, we analyzed 101 seismic signals produced by 8 different classes of sources. 3 of them are channel processes that we classified into large runoff or debris flow. And with this, we mean intense runoff with unevident sediment transport. And in some cases, we observed also the typical sorting behavior of debris flows. Then small runoff, which is runoff with a limited or also absent sediment transport. Bank collapse and unraveling, which is the collapse of coarse material from the banks of the channel due to the rainfall, and also the raveling of loose material down the slope. And then we also observed other sources of seismic noise, which are animals, earthquakes, and to identify them, we compare our seismic signal to the national catalog of the INGB. And then we also observed signals produced by wind, rainfall, and other unknown sources. Each point of these scatter plots represent a seismic signal. On the x-axis, we reported the duration of the signal, and on the y-axis, the peak amplitude of the signal, and the different colors refers to the different seismic sources that we identified by looking at the videos. In red, the most intense runoff processes, in blue, small runoff, in orange, bank collapse and unraveling, and in gray, all the other sources that we considered seismic noise. And you can see that generally the signals produced by large runoff or debris flows have a higher peak amplitude compared to all the other sources, while considering their duration, it is not possible to identify them. While looking at the small runoff and bank collapse and unraveling, they have similar peak amplitudes, but they differ in terms of duration of the signal. Now I want to show you a few seconds taken from a video that was recorded during the event that had the highest peak amplitude of the signal. And you can see that there is a sort of surging behavior that is typical of debris flows. So, as you've seen in the slide before, this event affected 2 areas of the monitored channel. And if you look at the pictures on the right, the upper one was taken before the event and the lower one was taken after the event. It produced also a significant morphological change. And field surveys revealed that this event produced an erosion of 1 meter depth. The scatter plot here represents all the seismic sources, including the one that before we called seismic noise, which are wind. Indeed, the wind shaking the trees produced this vibration that were detected by our geophone. The rainfall and each rain impacting on the soil produced a vibration. The passage of animals, here very small, probably is a chamois, and you can see that these signals are quite different among each other, and it is due to the deep movement of the animals that sometimes were running or jumping, or sometimes they were just grazing near to the geophone. And finally, we recognized 4 signals produced by earthquakes, and they differ because of the magnitude and also the distance between the epicenter and our monitoring site. So with the same approach that generally is used for defining the rainfall threshold, we define a seismic threshold, which considers the duration of the signal and the peak amplitude of the signal. And this threshold had a quite high accuracy index of 0.99. When we were analyzing the seismic signals, sometimes we observed a change in the frequency and in the amplitude of the signal, but it was not possible to observe the seismic source by looking at the videos because of the low resolution of the camera and also of the limited framing area. And all these unidentified signals are represented here with these black dots. So we tried to classify these events by only considering the seismic information, and this is the result. So it was a first attempt of event classification based only on the seismic information. An approach similar to that of the Gadria will be applied also to the black catchment, which is located in Val Camonica in the central Italian Alps. And as part of my PhD project, we are studying the initiation and the dynamics of debris flows with different monitoring stations that integrates many sensors. And we have the aims of developing more reliable monitoring and also warning systems. So to conclude, we say that the seismic analysis allowed to discriminate between the signals produced by intense channel processes and by the other seismic sources. And it will be interesting to observe if also the seismic threshold defined in other catchment will have such a high accuracy. And then we observed that the seismic waves produced by different sources have specific seismic characteristics. A future application of this study is to develop an algorithm able to automatically classify the seismic sources and identify the most intense channel processes that can generate debris flows. So we can say that the analysis of the seismic signal acquired with geophones can be used as a support for the monitoring station, as they have many advantages, including the fact that they are easy to install and the seismic signal is easy to analyze. And thank you.